Welcome back, Eric, to the video. Today we are going over week 2 of the NFL season and making our week picks. After last week, which is week 1, it's always one of the harder weeks because there are so many unknowns. We finished 9-8 with our kind of pick record so far in this year, so not terrible. I'll take that. I think it could have been much worse, although, I did have picks like the Titans in there that didn't end up upsetting. The Panthers lost. The Bengals lost, I picked. So I think we can do much better this week. And first up is the Packers and the Falcons. Well, that's actually not right. I think I went away from the... I'm not sure where the night game is. Okay, well, either way, the Thursday night game is the Vikings and the Eagles. Not sure why it's not pictured, but we are going to be picking the Eagles in that game. The Vikings upset last week by the Baker Mayfield-led Buccaneers. Quite the surprise. The Vikings looked pretty good in the first half, and they didn't look bad all around, but Kirk did that one very costly interception in the red zone. And the reason I'm picking the Eagles in this game isn't really because of the Vikings last week, but Kirk Cousins does not have the best track record on, Thursday Night Football and things like that, but also because he really struggles against the Eagles, especially last year. So I'm picking the Eagles in this one. The Eagles just beat the Patriots, a very good defense last week, so I bet they can beat the Vikings this week. So that's my pick for that. Not sure why it's not pictured. But next is the Packers and the Falcons. Now, this is an interesting one because the Falcons beat the Panthers. The Panthers also helped the Panthers lose because the Panthers fumbled, I think, twice. Bryce Young did give the ball away twice to Jesse Bates. But again, he's a rookie quarterback. It's going to happen. I'm not going to rip on him for that. But the Falcons did play pretty well. But the Packers also played pretty well. And that was someone that I didn't actually pick last week. I picked the Bears. The Bears had a lot of things to work through, and we're going to talk about that later on this video whenever we get to it. But Packers and Falcons should be a really good game. I'm actually going to pick Jordan Love. I think the Falcons defense is going to be more of a test than the Bears defense. But Love looked so sharp last week. I want to see if he can do it again in Atlanta this week. So I'm picking the Packers in that game. Raiders and Bills. Josh Allen played very poor. There's really no way around it, but he's still a good quarterback, and I think he bounces back and they beat the Raiders this week. The Raiders are coming off a win, and actually they're leading the AFC West because every other team lost. But that's going to probably tighten up pretty close or pretty soon, and I'm going to guess the Bills are going to help bring the Raiders record down a little bit. But yeah, not much to say about that game. Bengals and Ravens, though. So both teams really didn't play great last week. Like, the Ravens won, but they were playing the Texans. They played kind of sloppy. They lose J.K. Dobbins for the season, unfortunately. And then the Bengals, of course, played horrible against the Browns. I am going to pick the Bengals in this game in a bit of a bounce-back week. In my opinion, I think the Bengals and Ravens split this year. I think Bengals win in Cincinnati and the Ravens win in Baltimore this year, so that's why I'm picking that. So Ravens fans, don't come and kill me. I understand if you're upset, but I am going to pick the Ravens in Baltimore when that time comes. I just think that both teams are pretty good. They will probably split at home this year, so I'm picking the Bengals in that game. Next is the Seahawks and the Lions. I'm picking the Lions. The Lions started out really hot, and the Seahawks really disappointed me last week. They were playing the Rams. I thought they'd be like an easy win, and it was not. The Seahawks really struggled, and the Rams looked way stronger than I thought they would. And the Lions looked about as strong as I thought they would. Though they didn't play great, they still won against a very good Chiefs team. So I'm picking the Lions in Detroit to open up their home, to open up the season, I guess, at home since they haven't had their home game yet. We were phrasing it, but you get what I mean there. Then next is the Colts and the Texans. I'm actually really excited for this. This is Richardson versus Stroud, two rookie quarterbacks in the same division. Richardson actually played really well last week, and so did Stroud. Stroud, no touchdowns, but no interceptions. It's a really good Ravens defense. I'm going to pick the Colts in this game, though. I think they competed a lot better than I thought they would last week against the Jaguars. The Texans played fine, but it's just about the level I think they're going to be at for right now. I think the Colts are slightly better than them, so I'm going to pick the Colts in that one. Next is the Chiefs and the Jaguars. This is going to be a really fun one to watch. The Chiefs and the Jaguars, I'm going to go with the Jaguars, which might be a bit of a surprise. I'm picking the Chiefs to start 0-2. The Jaguars are a team I've been high on all offseason. Last week, I think they played pretty well. Lawrence looked really good, made some really difficult throws. The Jaguars' defense is pretty concerning, but honestly, the Chiefs' offense struggled last week, and we're still not sure if they'll have Kelsey back. He's limited in practice as of today, which is Wednesday. I'm going to assume he plays, but it's not going to be the typical Travis Kelce impact, I would assume. I would assume next week he'll be a bit more like himself. So I'm picking the Jaguars at home this week. I think they did a lot of things right last week. I think they built off of it. I absolutely love the offense, and it's going to give the Chiefs problems, though the Chiefs did also just re-sign Chris Jones. So, a lot of things kind of considered there, but I'm going with the Jaguars. And then next is the Bears and Buccaneers. Look, I had the Buccaneers one of the worst teams in the league going into this year and just finishing this year. I don't see them getting a lot of wins still, even though they beat the Vikings last week, but I'm picking them in this game. And I think the Bears really showed. I mean, okay, I'm not sure if you guys know, like the QB School, I think is his name, on YouTube. If you haven't seen him, go check him out. He's awesome. He breaks down a bunch of different quarterbacks and their games. He does a really good job, and he did it for Justin Fields against the who they just played, the Packers. And the tape is rough. I mean, it's not all Fields' fault. The coaching seems to be horrible as well. Some of the way the routes are drawn up are just so stupid. But Fields also, he didn't make those he's supposed to make. And I don't think the Bears match up very well this game because the Buccaneers defense is actually pretty good. I think they give them problems. And honestly, if a defense is going to disrupt Baker and get to him and force him to make stupid plays, I don't think it's going to be the Bears defense. I think Baker can handle that. And he actually looked pretty calm last week. So I'm picking the Buccaneers, starting out 2-0, maybe even leading the division after this, which is crazy. But I am picking the Buccaneers to beat the Bears. And next is the Chargers and the Titans. I'm picking the Chargers. They lost in a really good game. It was just quite the offensive-heavy game with the Dolphins. The Titans lost a pretty boring game, kind of the opposite of the Chargers and the Dolphins. They lost to the Saints last week. They're in Tennessee, and I get that, but the Chargers offense looks, it looks so good last week, and it really just kind of came down to who had the ball last and scored with it, and that was the Dolphins because they did get those costly sacks on Herbert in the final drive. So I'm going to pick the Chargers. I think they get the win this week. I think they played well last week too, which is a very tough opponent. And then next is the Giants and the Cardinals. Here is the good news for the Giants. You cannot possibly do worse than you did last week because I don't know what that was, but hopefully that is the last time any of us, especially Giants fans, ever see anything like that ever again. I don't know what happened, but that was bad. And the one thing I will say about this game, I'm going to pick the Giants, but the Cardinals defense looked pretty good last week for what they have. Jonathan Gannon really had them flying all over the field, making plays and slowing down that Washington offense. So they can definitely do that against the Giants offense this week. I think it's going to be closer than people might think, but I do think the Giants do have a bit of a bounce back week and do win and go to 1-1 on the season, and Cardinals will drop to 0-2. The Cardinals just aren't going to win that many games this year, but I do think they get some teams some problems, and the Giants are one of them, especially after last week. Next is the 49ers and the Rams. So the Rams are also one that, just baffling, why they were so good last week. But they played pretty well. Stafford did a good job getting the ball out with no Cooper Kupp. Puka Nacua, I believe is his name. He had a great game for a rookie. Tutu Atwell played really well. But the 49ers dominated. So we're picking the 49ers, hands down. I don't think this will be very close, though I said that about the Seahawks and the Rams game, and that wasn't true at all, so who knows. But the 49ers absolutely dominated last week. I think they stay hot. They're one of the better teams in the entire NFL. I think they win big this week in LA. Man, and then here's the Jets and Cowboys. Can you imagine how exciting this game would have been if Rodgers didn't get hurt? I mean, a really good Cowboys defense against a really good Jets offense, and Aaron Rodgers, it sucks. It sucks. I'm going to say it every time I see a Jets game lined up this season. I cannot believe Rodgers got hurt like that. It is just so devastating. I believe he said to the Jets, though, that he does plan on going through rehab and coming back next year, not retiring, which is great. I hope he can bounce back because he deserves it. The Jets deserve it. Fans deserve it. Football fans deserve it to see what that team actually looks like with Rodgers in there, because that is just so unfortunate that it went down like that. But I'm picking the Cowboys. You got Zach Wilson at quarterback. It's going to slow down the team to some degree. I will say the mistakes Zach Wilson made this past week weren't ones he was making last year. So he did clean up at least to some degree. And Rodgers is supposed to be around the team this year, so he can still help mentor him. But again, it's a scarily similar situation to last year where you really struggled and you could see how bad the quarterback position held the Jets back. So it sucks. That's really all there is to it. But I'm picking the Cowboys. That was absolutely dominant last week. And I think they win this game, but not by a lot. That Jets defense is really, really good. There's a reason it keeps them in games when the offense struggles. But I do have the Cowboys in that one. And then Commanders and Broncos. So I'm going to pick the Broncos, actually. That'll be like one of my upsets this week. Washington, they looked good, but Sam Howell did struggle a little bit. He had that one fumble for 6, And the Broncos defense is no joke. I mean, you have guys like Pat Surtain, Justin Simmons on that defense. Like, this is not a defense that you're just going to be able to pass all over. So I think the Broncos slow down Washington and do move the ball enough to be able to win by, I don't know, 3, 4. It should be pretty close, but I'm going to have the Broncos in an upset in that one. I think Russ looked better. It's going to take some time because of how horrible last season was, but I think it was definitely a step up from last year, so I had the Broncos in that one. Then next is the Dolphins and Patriots. I'm actually really excited for this night game because the Patriots, though they lost, Mac Jones looked a ton better than last year. He looked more like he did his rookie year when he was actually pretty good. The Patriots defense is phenomenal. I've been saying it all offseason. Now you add Christian Gonzalez. Love the Patriots defense. But I also love the Dolphins offense. So I think it's going to be a really interesting game to see who comes out on top of this one. A really good defense versus a really good offense. And then a pretty good defense versus, dare I say, pretty good offense for the Patriots. I'm not sure I'll go that far, but it's definitely better than last year. I'm going to pick the Dolphins because I think they are just that good. But it's going to be a close game. These divisional games are always very close for them, especially in the AFC East. So I'm picking the Dolphins in a close one over the Patriots. And then the doubleheader Monday night games, the Saints and the Panthers and the Browns and the Steelers. 2 games which should be pretty close, 2 divisional games. The Panthers always beat the Saints to start the year for whatever reason, but I'm picking the Saints. And it pains me to do that, but the Panthers are just not good enough. I think it's really that simple. I think Bryce Young is great. I think he's the truth for the team. I think he's going to become a franchise quarterback for them, but there's not enough all around the team to make them compete and win meaningful games quite yet. Especially J.C. Horn, he goes down again, and they say he might have to have surgery for the hand, like it's a freak hamstring injury. You can't make this stuff up. It just sucks for him and the Panthers defense. But that Panthers defense is still very good in my opinion. I think they're going to continue to get better. I love Brian Burns. Please pay Brian Burns. I don't know what they're doing. Just pay him. Pay Brian Burns. It's that simple. On offense, receivers are really struggling to separate, which does not make Bryce Young's job any easier. Hayden Hurst looked great though, so that's always cool. But again, also one more thing about the Panthers though, they signed Tariq Cohen, which for those of you that remember him, that's he used to be really good, probably about, what was that, 2020, I think, 2019? I mean, I guess 2018, I think it was like Pro Bowl or something, but through that amount of time, up until 2020, he was really good. So that's pretty exciting for the Panthers, but also just for Tariq Cohen because he deserves a second chance. He had like ACL tear, I think, and then like Achilles injury back-to-back or something, so hopefully he can bounce back just for the sake of his career. But Saints, you looked pretty good last week. It was a slow-moving game, but you moved the ball pretty well. Derek Carr over 300 yards. Chris Olave looked really good. Not excited to be devastated come Monday night at around 11 o'clock, but, the Panthers are not going to win this game, in my opinion. I have the Saints kind of ruining Bryce Young's opening night in Charlotte. So picking the Saints in that one. The second Monday night game, the Browns and the Steelers. I'm picking the Browns in this game because Kenny Pickett looked freaked out last week. I don't know what that was, but he was not the same confident Kenny Pickett we saw in the past, like just in preseason or even just over the course of last year as he got better. So for one, that's really not good. And two, the Browns defense was great last week. Really good. And if they get to Pickett and shake him like he was shaken last week, it's going to be a nice game for the Browns. Though I do say that it will be a low-scoring game. I don't see how either team would get into the 30s because both defenses are so good. So I had the Browns in a close, low-scoring game in Pittsburgh. And also no Deontay Johnson. He's out for several weeks with a hamstring injury. So that's a huge loss for the Steelers offense as well. It's going to be tough, but those are my picks for the week, guys. Let me know down below what your guys' picks are, what your favorite team's looking like, and all kinds of stuff like that. Whatever comes to your mind when it comes to your favorite team, let me know down below. You guys clearly heard my thoughts on the Panthers. It's not great, but it is what it is. I would say my upset of the week would be Broncos over Washington, if that's really an upset. Otherwise, I could see the Cardinals sneaking one out in the Giants, but I don't think it will happen. But if it did happen, I wouldn't be like blown away. I could see the kind of shock there. But yeah, that's it for the video. If you guys enjoyed here, be sure to subscribe to my channel for more NFL content like this. I also do Madden videos. I have a game plan Tyreek Hill coming tomorrow from Madden Ultimate Team. So that'll be tomorrow. NFL videos like this, NFL news videos, tier list videos, all that kind of stuff, week picks. So thank you guys for watching. I do really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.